Good morning and welcome to OptionsTender. I'm out on vacation at the in-laws. We're getting ready to go skating. I'm going to do a quick update here. So thanks for joining me here on Monday, December 30th, 2024. We're getting towards the end of the month. On the next video, we'll do a monthly time frame and lower as usual. So if you're new here, check out the last video. That gives a much more broad update. And what we're going to do here is just go on the daily time frame and simply move over to the 65 and go around the horn there. Okay, so there's a few things I want to point out. By the way, we're doing this about 11:41 Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube member for 99 cents. And it's super appreciated, even if you just want to do it just to support the channel. So, all right, let's jump into it. We have SPY on the daily time frame. Looking at this bearish rising wedge, we had a breakdown back test. We're forming a head and shoulders possible formation here. We clearly have to break down from that point. Here is the measured move on that. Let me change it to my usual. So on a traditional sense, you have the options expected move. You take the top of the head to the shoulder line, and then the breakout zone is where you place it. That would bring us right into our zone here for our next move. And I'm going to shape that move out for you on the 65 minutes, so make sure you stick around. I think the ultimate move will be, and again, we talked about each board. I have this one is our traditional technical analysis. So if you have a true rising wedge that breaks down, usually you test the lows of that wedge. It doesn't mean it needs to go down to the exact low. It just means testing the lows. So that could be making a higher low. That could be making a lower low. All right. I know that doesn't give too much information, but I think that our price action's likely to meet that 525 area. Okay, so on again, looking at traditional indicators, we're underneath that 8 EMA. That's our trending indicator, or excuse me, our momentum indicator. So we gap down. We're likely to kind of back test. So we were holding that 50 moving average. I do think that we broke down from that point, and now we're going to kind of test to see if price wants to go higher or not. But the 20 moving average, that's our simple moving average, is our trending indicator. That's starting to curve down. So the trend is starting to move. We're starting to break down. Now, on it structure-wise, we have not broken the low here. So we don't have a confirmed trend change, but we're really starting to break down to that point. And the reason why it gets so difficult in this type of area is because you have a bunch of buyers left. You have buyers and sellers. So you get into a sort of equilibrium where you get these sharp sells and then you get big bounces. And that's setting up market structure. Okay. So if this truly is going to turn, we have what we think is a 1-2, and then we'll continue down. And on a lower time frame, you have 1-2 and so forth. So let's go ahead and move to that 65. And by the way, this line is just a representation of what happened in 2007. You had a very long 140-day correction. I don't know if that will happen, but I want to keep it in mind. That's why I'm keeping it on here just in case. So let's move to the 65. And on that, I'm trying to speak up. I know that the speakers aren't, the mic isn't very good on the laptop here. So hopefully you can get all this information. All right, on a traditional sense, here's that, again, the bearish rising wedge. We broke down from it. At this point, I think we're making a three-wave move here. So it's clearly going to bring in some bulls, and they're looking for a new high. I do think this is going to kind of trick traders. A three-wave move, but then you get a three-wave move up and a three-wave move down and so forth, where you have a leading diagonal. Okay, so I do think that price is going to accelerate, and possibly even the fifth wave be quite a large move. So we'll check that out as price gives us information. But pointing out the why I think this is, first of all, we have this good solid resistance support here. You break down from there and perhaps backtest this larger wedge that was made with more of a shallow wave 4. So you have the 1-2, you're breaking down 3, and then we get a backtest 4. But we have a huge support area here. That was a big time weekly breakout. And so if we bounce, get a reaction off of the zone, it's a zone. You see the price action in here, not just this larger bar, but this whole zone here, and get a shallow bounce off of it. And we break down this area, I think price will accelerate and like a fake break, basically, what's happening there. So we just have to be aware of that. And this is kind of how I think it's going to shape out. So I put these here. And if we do get a bounce off of this zone, I think it'll be a shallow 40% retracement for wave 4. So that's why I have this all measured out here to where this could play out exactly. It hardly ever does that for traders. That's the difficult part, is the pathway. But we could see some sort of price action like this. Okay. So let's look at the Elliott wave, kind of digging in. We have what we think is a wave 1 in yellow here to a wave 2. Now there's 2 possibilities that could happen here. It looks like we have some time and price here into 1230. So this going into wave 2 could be complete. All right, that wave 2 could be complete. You have an ABC correction, and then we're forming possibly another impulse wave to where this may be a more shallow bounce here, but this could be another 1, a lower degree 1 going into 2, and this light trading this week. Now, if price action gets a little bit more bullish and IWM really starts to pick up there, what we could see is that wave 2 stretches out, and this ends up being a flat pattern. So you have the wave 1, you have an ABC for a larger degree A, we completed B in here, and then we're looking for either a running flat or a flat pattern. That wave C probably gets into that 786, which was left unfinished. So that's still a possibility to where price just wants to waste time. And at that point, maybe this downtrend line is coinciding with that flat pattern. So I don't know which one's the case, but I do know that we're positioned for this to go lower and this be the end of the correction where wave 2 is here. All right. So we'll monitor that. Those are the 2 scenarios that we're looking for. Okay, now we were looking to see where a bounce area. So it held the 786. So this right here is for the bulls is a 1-2, and you're looking for higher prices from there. I'm not looking for that, but that was a good spot to add on definitely some call protection, just in case we're totally wrong and price goes to the upside. So we did it with the IWM, and specifically IWM because if you look on a different board, on the daily time frame, we have a channel here, and we came down to not only great horizontal support that held once, but also the downtrend or the uptrend line here as well. So we had good confluence there where we took some IWM calls, and we will take those calls. This will probably be the flat pattern that we were talking about just a second ago, but in IWM, it's still a more shallow area here, and this could just be simply a wave 4, and price could continue lower at this point. But if we get a nice bounce here in IWM, it just kind of helps price action float around here on in the light trading week that we have. Then we'll take these calls, these hedges, and we'll flip them into puts later on. And not IWM. I'm not shorting IWM. DIA and IWM, the diamonds and the small caps already had their large moves, so I'm not going to be shorting them. We'll just add them on to our other puts there. Also, since I'm just doing one video and a quick update, we're looking for Tesla loves to create triangles, okay? So we're looking at this ascending triangle, breakout here, broke out there. Now, the purple line, excuse me, get back out of here. The purple line up here was the former all-time high. So we got above that. We broke down, had a nice trade here, and started to form I said right here in the Discord that if price gets down to the 20 moving average here, the daily time frame is right here as well. So it was coinciding with this former all-time high. So I figured that if price got down to the 20 moving average, which it did, that it'll hold and that will form some sort of descending triangle. If price action on SPY is to bounce here and break down from a retracement, because we will draw another retracement here where you have a lower degree wave one. And sorry if I'm talking really fast, but it's very likely we get up to here to the 50-60% of this new wave one here. All right, so if that is the case, and this is impulsive, you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can get a retracement here throughout this light trading week. And if that's the case where we reject off of this 50-60% area, then you'll see individual names like Tesla help bounce, but then reject, and we should break down from this area. And what we have here, and I'm not going to show all the information. I do that for my individual members here. So I think we have an A, a B, and now we're forming a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down to lower prices. They know where those targets are. All right, so other individual names, we took off our Apple puts here today, and here's why, because we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulsive move down into the trend line. Now we're looking for that bounce. So same thing. You see all these individual names that have bounce possibility. This one even looks like a 3-wave move, made a lower low here with positive divergence and could make a new high. All right, so we looked at Tesla, Meta, again, could be a flat pattern here where we have our impulse wave and an A, B, and we're looking for a wave C up here. So that will help lift the market. Now the video, we're a little bit more bearish on that. And the reason is we're in a downtrend. And although I'm going to be ultimately a little bit more positive on NVIDIA, usually they kind of trade against each other, NVIDIA and Tesla, and they're not lining up. So I do think this either has one more wave down or this is just going to start breaking down even more. So I'm a little more conservative, and I think that this is going to be a leading diagonal, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more wave down, 5, and we get a nice big bounce before heading lower. So this should start to kind of form on what the market is doing. But so far, NVIDIA held the market up today, and so that's why it's getting its bounce. And I think this will go opposite of what the rest of the market starts doing with that bounce there. You have so many things that are going to bounce up. I think NVIDIA is going to go inversely and go down. So same thing with Google, kind of in an equilibrium, and just maybe just a 1, 2, 1, 2, get a slight bounce here and lower. That's how it looks, at least visually. And then Microsoft is truly stretched out. It still might have a little bit more to go to test the bottom of this this trend line here, possible channel, and then likely that you have an impulse wave here, and it will help carry the market up for a bounce. All right, so QQQ will kind of look the same way. What we're doing here, we had our trend line that we bounced off of and broke down here now. So I do suspect that we'll back test it. If we start trading around this trend line, it just won't be as valid as usual. All right, so again, you can get a impulse wave here. A wave 2 could be complete, and maybe just a quick back test back into the opening or the close of last week to close the gap, and back testing the wedge and heading lower. Okay, so that would be my, I guess, kind of primary scenario. But if it does get back above this trend line here, we could be looking at the same thing as SPY, to where you have an A up here, an ABC for an A. We got our wave B in, and we're looking for C to complete a little bit higher. Okay, now again, when we use these options expected moves, we're already down to the bottom end of the options expected move. So getting back to the middle is very natural to close inside of this area here. But it's very rare to see one side of options expected move to trade to the other side and touch both sides, okay? So that leads me to believe that this bounce should be pretty shallow and we should head lower at that point going into next week anyway. All right, so we looked at SPY, IWM, NVDA, SMH. And so we're just getting really tight in price action here, and eventually this is going to either break up or break down. That will be a good telling sign, but I'm still in the visual that this is an impulse move. We got our bear flag. The bear flag broke down, but the market wasn't ready to break down yet. So SMH is kind of coiling up here and is going to break down from that point. We should see that from and through the leadership of NVIDIA. But if it breaks up, then so be it. Then that's the price action that we have to play. We're not in that position at this point, but we'll have to adjust accordingly. And finally, the VIX. VIX had the falling wedge here, the bullish falling wedge. We back tested and now is starting to form some market structure again. So to me, this looks like this still could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all we're doing is getting a retracement for a lower high, or excuse me, higher low, and this continues on. Now, if the scenario that we're playing out on SPY and QQQ are to play out fully, you're going to see this definitely take out these highs here. So that will be, because we're going to have a big support area broken down, and there's going to be traders hedging, professional traders hedging a lot on their positions, and we will break this high up here. So just keep an eye on VIX. If it really starts to break back above 19, that would be a good spot to know that it's going to continue higher from this point. I do think there might be a little bit lower to go, maybe even test the gap, or I don't know if it'll close that gap, but let's look at it on the daily. We've been getting a pretty accurate look from the daily time frame. And so we rejected off of that 19, so that's going to be a good area there. And so maybe we do close the gap. Not the bottom one here, but this one right here, because the 200 moving average is right here. We don't have to go any lower at all because we're at the 8 EMA and the 50. They are moving sideways, so we could cut back and forth in between them. But looking back at the back test and making a higher low at this point, looks like we're trying to make a higher low again, forming positive market structure. So check out just keep an eye out on this 200 moving average, on the daily moving average right here where we held. It's very important. So this kind of bull bear territory. All right. So that's what we got for you today. Hope everybody has a wonderful new year. We should be making a video tomorrow as well. So sorry again, I'm on the laptop. We'll close it here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.